Energy like air and water, identity like clay. Not too long ago, I was at an art show displaying some art, and as I was getting there to see where I was going to set up, an older woman was trying to move a mattress and it fell over and it knocked her over and she couldn't get up. It was about a 2 to 3 second gap into when I sprang forward and like try to help her out. Um, my energy, my vibe coming to the show was one of curiosity, openness, positivity, and in a second, in an instant, and changed into just leaping forward and doing what I needed to do, taking action. And in this way, our energy is a lot like water or air. It kind of just goes where it needs to go. It follows the natural channels, and it reminds me a lot of meditation and like the goal of meditation, right? In that moment, before she fell over, I was kind of in my head, seeing like kind of strategizing, thinking things out, which is not a bad thing. Or I'm not downplaying or talking that down. But when she did fall over and I heard that sound of her body like hitting the ground, that was like meditative to me because I lost any sense of self. It was more like something coming together, like if your body gets cut, right? You're not thinking about the cut, you're not doing anything about it, you're just letting the body heal. Things are coming together to repair. But this is not a way to speak about like who I am as a person. That's just something that happened, that I allowed to happen in the moment, right? I didn't question it. I didn't doubt it. I didn't doubt myself. And essentially, there was no real sense of self in that moment. In that moment, identity kind of dissolved. And I feel like a lot of us can get stuck in this repetitive story of things that we've fucked up, ways in which we've kind of tripped ourselves over, sabotaged ourselves, or keeping ourselves from succeeding. Even now, like the inner monologue is going, and I'm being aware of it, but I'm not identifying with it. In that way, and in that moment, in this moment, I'm molding my identity from the habitual negative self-talk, negative like self-identity, and molding it away from that. Because a lot of the times our ego can take a hit, it can get bruised. And if we identify with that part of ourselves that can never be touched or insulted or improved upon, then we never improve. Right? Everybody can be wrong and has room to improve until someone points out this is where you need to improve. I feel like that's where defense mechanisms and the ego gets triggered a lot. It takes a lot of self-awareness and humility to, on the one hand, take in new information, take in someone's observation, and see how it can, and not automatically does, resonate as true. Because sometimes someone else's projection of themselves, of their shortcomings, of their negative self-image, they'll project onto you. So on the one hand, again, identity like clay, we can mold it, we can shape it, we can change it. But it's not water, right? On the other side of being able to take constructive criticism, or being able to like handle and navigate other people's negativity, on the other side of that, And I was guilty of this, of like acquiescing, right? Of like, I have my truth, I speak it, and then someone else shoots it down or says like, no, this is how it is. And before I would be like, oh, okay, my bad. You know, that's, you say it's how it is, so that must be how it is. So there's a great analogy of being like a tree, right? A tree can sway in the wind. Even a building as tall and powerful or rigid as it is still has room to sway in the wind, because if not, it would just snap. If it has too much flexibility, if a tree has too much flexibility, it'll just, bend over for anything. So a lot of the times I feel like our energy can get stuck. Being flexible and fluid in our state of being while not abandoning our core identity. Being embodied. One of my favorite trauma researchers, Maston Kipp, talks about how a lot of our knowledge, a lot of us being in our mind happens in the prefrontal cortex. Like, it's very like tip of the iceberg. But when we go into conversation and situations into the external world, we react from embodied knowledge. So if this is kind of like the present and this is past experience, we will come to every situation from past experience more so than present thought, present knowledge. It's until we embody that knowledge that it becomes a natural, instinctive way to interact with the world. But we need a lot of experience in who we are now and not who we used to be. Somatic awareness meditation is one of my favorite meditations to do. Why? Because it brings you into the present moment. It brings you into a more embodied presence, right? We can't leave the past behind by thinking about it. In thinking about the present, we're now out of the present. And then obviously a step further from that, going back into the past or being anxious or you're excited about the future, healthy as it may be when done intentionally, brings us out of the present moment. And all we have is the present moment. It may feel like the past is very real and very strong, but it's just not the case. It's not the truest truth. It's not the deeper truth. The deeper truth is that maybe the reason we think about the past so much is because we want redemption or revenge, or we feel like we were done wrong. And by returning to the present, having our energy be like water or air that fills our body completely rather than staying up here, in that moment, we're letting go of the past and returning continuously to the present is where we can find new opportunities to maybe replay those old scenarios in real life, in real time, and make different decisions this time around. That's kind of the law of karma, is that whenever we did something wrong before, we kind of attract that back to us so we can make a better and healthier decision moving forward. And living from our purpose is then when we access the Dharma. That is what brings about life's greatest rewards. But until we've really embodied the knowledge that we can let go of those grudges, of those grievances, and make new choices whenever those opportunities arise, when that knowledge becomes embodied through experience, that's when we really living out our best life. But the reason time is such a gift and such a tool, not just an illusion, is because it gives us the opportunity to really create a beaten path of our choosing. But we do have to choose.